Welcome back, everybody. It's here. Thanks
These
for making
Red
us your
Fridays.
first listen.
Sorry. I was just going to say, these Red Fridays are always the fun ones.
They certainly are. This has been an interesting week, too, after the 13-second game, the Grim Reaper game, whatever you want to call it. We've been riding high on that. So is the team. Now they have to get back down to business. And we've talked about this the last couple of days, first with Matt, and then I know you talked to the guys with Locked On Bengals. This comes down to, I think, you have to react to what you saw. You have to try to limit Ja'Marr Chase. But I'm concerned. I think the big falling point here is you can't get too concerned with that. You can't overcompensate and put yourself in a worse position.
No, you absolutely cannot. And I do think that it's going to be very interesting to see how they come out and go against Ja'Marr Chase. I expect that they're going to double team him, although I also wonder if they're going to go early on and put Charvarius Ward on him as he's been traveling with the team's best wide receivers. I'm not saying he can take him one-on-one every single play, but it wouldn't shock me for him to be following Chase the entire game.
I will tell you this. I did a lot of digging about the sets that the Chiefs put out against him last time. And one thing that is going to be important is that when he is confronted with just zone coverage, Joe Burrow has been monstrous, has been efficient. He got the best of the Chiefs that way on the last go. So there has to be a combination there of some kind of either disguised zone or zone replacement type blitzing, one of those things, or a simple concept of man underneath zone concepts. I think that's the way that they have to go about it in order to not give, like you said, free releases, but also not give Joe Burrow what he's expecting. And that seems to be something that I think Steve Spagnuolo has built a strength on. I think he can certainly do it. I think he's got to mind his own tendencies to leave guys on islands and over blitz too much, leaving people open.
I would say he'd have to go back and look at the way they played against them in Week 17 and figure out that is not going to be the way you're going to beat the Cincinnati Bengals. I think you have to look back and say, we can't blitz Joe Burrow as much. I do still think he's going to blitz him. I just hope he doesn't do it near as much as he did that game. But it wasn't just the blitzing. It was different. It was different. It was a comedy of errors. It was poor tackling. There was a lot of different poor angles that were taken on specific plays. And Ja'Marr Chase is the guy that was the beneficiary of a lot of those.
Yeah, very much so. Now, that's not to say
the first touchdown, what did he have? 6 guys going at him, and all of them took horrible angles.
It has to be, I believe, a top-down type philosophy. It has to come from, I think, multiple deeper zones. I think playing single high, especially if you're going to man up underneath, is problematic. I'm not saying you have to be in a too high shell all the time, or you certainly don't have to play cover 2 all the time. I think you do have to mix it up. They did run a couple of snaps of 6 against the Bengals last time. I think it was a 66% completion rate at that point. So it wasn't terribly effective, but you got to continue to mix it up so that it's not simple. It's not something that he can hit his back foot and let the ball come out. Because as we saw last week, if you make him hold the ball a little bit more, the front 4 pass rush has a chance to get home. They give up 9 sacks and 13 contacts on the quarterback last week. Now, if the Chiefs can do even half of that, I think they're going to be in good shape.
Yeah, if they can get to 5 sacks, I think they're going to be in great shape. And anything over that is going to be, just icing on the cake. I do think that is going to be a key matchup in this game that we're going to talk about a little bit later. But you still look back at the other weapons that the Bengals have. If you're going to double Ja'Marr Chase, maybe you don't have Ward on him all game. Maybe you have Ward follow T. Higgins around, or Tyler Boyd if you think he's the next biggest target, and have him shut down somebody and then double Chase and try to go about it that way. I do think that Fitton is important if he is able to play this game, which it looks like he should be able to play. But you also have to remember he was called for grabbing and holding, and those are things that he does because he plays really physically.
Mm-hmm. And they need that, especially if they are going to get to the point where they do something atypical, and rather than just getting up to the line of scrimmage and playing man, if they're actually going to press, if they're going to aggressively make contact and try to reroute Chase, I think that's part of the equation. And I think, honestly, in terms of functional strength in doing that, Fenton is the guy that you need the most if they're going to line Chase up on the outside. And after we saw those fade routes, the throw it up and hope the Chase gets it passes from Joe Burrow last time, I think that they are going to line him up on the outside because they like what they have out there.
They should like what they have out there. It worked really well for them last time. You would think that that's kind of the way that they're going to go about it this time. But at the same time, you also have to think that they're going to expect changes by the Chiefs this year or this game. And I do think Kansas City's defense is going to look a little bit different than it did the last game. And I do think that the Chiefs are going to be a lot more locked in than they looked at like they were in that game, especially in the second quarter, because it didn't look like they were locked in as a defense in the second quarter. And I think part of that was they got off to a hot start. They stopped the Bengals. They got up 14-0, and then they kind of maybe lost a little bit of focus.
Yep.
And then it became
That can certainly be the
14-14 at
case.
half.
And that's the thing, is this team is as explosive as they come as well. Just because you won that barn burner last week doesn't mean that this game isn't going to be explosive. They need to have all the gas in the tank, and we have a way to help you guys get less money spent on for your gas in the tank